Hey, how are you doing?
Sick, man. Really, really sick.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Dandered flu.
Fucking whatever it is trying to kill me.
I feel like they might have not picked like the main strand of the flu for this year's like vaccines. I feel like it protected us against probably something like weaker.
Yeah, whatever I got, I felt like it was gonna be bronchitis in a day and pneumonia in the second day. It was unreal, man.
Well, hopefully you feel better in short order. What do you do
Yeah.
typically when you're sick? Do you rest or drink anything special? Orange juice? I don't know.
Lots of fluids and ibuprofen. And then if I'm tired, I just lie down and I sleep.
I like podcasts for like whenever I can't do anything. If I want like some kind of entertainment, podcasts are always like you can just listen to them like lying down or whatever, and they're very like convenient.
Yeah, I had a couple to catch up on.
But I wonder about getting. I want like glasses that let me watch like a movie when I'm lying down. That would be a comfortable way, I think, to watch a movie.
What
But
about those
the good
VR
ones,
goggles?
yeah, there's one pair that's like several $100s, and it just connects with a cable to like whatever device, and they work good. I think they all they do is like they're just showing like a screen, a static screen in the goggles, and that's all they do. But that's pretty cool. And there's another one that has like a mirror, like so the mirror, like you hold your phone on your chest, and the mirror in the glasses, like you're lying down, but it reflects. It shows you the view from like 40, like it directs your view 90 degrees to your screen. And those are like low tech solution, but I guess they kind of work.
Yeah.
Well, I'm listening to this podcast right now. There's, I guess, like CES, like Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, going on right now. And this guy is there. He's like every day he's inviting different people that are at the show, like journalists and stuff, to just like have like about a 1 hour chat, like about what they saw that day. And he's publishing like an hour every day though, so it's been pretty cool, like just hearing their takes on different things that are at the show. A lot of like junk products these days, but occasionally something that sounds useful.
What's a junk product?
Just like all the like, well, these days everything is integrating with AI. There's like AI toaster, AI fridge, and it's all just like it'll
Uh,
remind you to like eat, and then it's just like for how much money? And but then some of the other basic ones are like there's like a tinier dishwasher that washes like one or two dishes at a time, but it washes them in like 10 seconds. And that sounded kind of cool because that I don't wash so many dishes, but it would be cool to like I use a dish, I wash it in 10 seconds automatically,
it's
and
it's called a
it could be
sink.
well, that's
Fuck.
what I do now. Yeah, I mean
Sorry.
that's my strategy right now is I finish with a dish, and then I just like scrub it down and put it in the drying rack, and that is very fast. But if like occasionally it's like I want this plate to be like really clean, and I do hear that apparently dishwashers use like significantly less water than a sink would. So it's kind of cool. Like I don't know if this tiny dishwasher like reuses the water a few times, but that could kind of that could be interesting, but it wouldn't be like something I'd look into, I guess. Just like I would prefer it, I think, over a regular dishwasher.
Yeah, this whole like I don't know. Considering the amount of water we waste on cows
Mm.
and crops, like on fucking corn, frankly, crops we don't need. I'm not too worried about running my sink water a little bit. I
Yeah, there's pretty much no. Yeah, it's very hard to like get any reason, like any way that would affect us. like conserving water, unless we were experiencing like droughts where like the water would shut off,
Right.
which maybe I guess
So
sometimes LA or something does apparently, but I've never had it. I've never been like in the season with it.
yeah. Well, my realtor in British Columbia was like, if you run your water, you're gonna like ungunk your sinks, which will save you on plumbing. I never had any sort of plumbing issues because I do run the water. So, I mean, there's
Yeah.
that.
I have some slow draining drains, but then I was told that maybe it's like a building problem. Like the building has a slow connection to the city and like everyone's
Mm,
drains. Like apparently I'm on like the third floor, but apparently on the first floor people's drains are like backing up and there's like a lawsuit going against the building. But for me it's like just slow drains.
okay. You ever like cleared it out? Had like super hot water,
Yeah,
kind
I
of like
wonder about stuff
blasted?
like that. I just never know. I guess if it doesn't Yeah, it's never like bad enough that I go through the motions of that and then see what happens. But I'm interested in that kind of stuff, different techniques of clearing it and seeing, because it would be cool to just have it like drain so fast. It's a little bit annoying whenever like I'm in the shower and it starts like filling up or something.
Well, that could be because your wife's hair is gunking things up. You have to
Yeah.
go in there and like clean
Mm,
the drain. Like you can unscrew it. It's kind of a pain in the
mm,
ass, and you might need a
yeah.
wrench, but you can unscrew that and clean out the gunk slash hair.
Yeah, at some point. I'm kind of expecting the drain to like get slower and slower, but it kind of like it got slow and then it just stayed like equally slow. Like it never. I would expect like eventually, if its hair like builds up to the point where it just kind of fully clogged. But seeing as how like it's medium bad and then it just stays medium bad. It's kind of it's like, oh, I guess I don't know what's going on. Like why wouldn't it fully clog or something? So then I'm just kind of like never motivated to investigate further.
Yeah, man, I usually deal with those things. I can't stand water backing up when I'm in the shower. Gross.
Mm. Yeah.
So I'm
Also, I
cat.
guess the other. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say
Cat sitting.
I'm cat sitting for someone who is cat
Mm.
sitting for two people who decided to leave to go to Las Vegas.
Mm.
So I have four cats I'm looking after.
Maybe they went to CES
Maybe.
if it's this weekend.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, four
Just a
cats, three
chain of.
different owners.
Oh yeah, and so then you get their one cat,
I have
and
four
they have the four
cats.
cats. So you have four. So you said you're
So
cat sitting for someone who's cat sitting. Oh,
yeah, but
someone else. Oh yeah, but then they decided last minute or something.
yeah,
Wow. Any special requirements for all those cats?
yeah, they're fucking high maintenance.
Like the eating schedules and stuff.
Eating schedule. I gotta add CBD and some sort of like
Mm.
I don't know.
CBD, like this, is that like marijuana? That stuff?
Yeah,
I didn't know cats.
it's for
Were into that.
inflammation, I guess. And
Mm.
there's some sort of like special sauce I have to add in, and they have to have different foods. Every four cats, so there's three different types of food, and then one cat requires a certain amount of water, and the other cat requires less water than that added to the food. And just like, my God,
Yeah, and then you gotta. How do you prevent them from like eating each other's? You have to monitor.
they know what's theirs, right?
That's good then. Yeah, that would be the hard part.
Well, one of them's a little greedy bastard, and when I brought the snacks out, there were no rules. Like the one was going for theirs, and then like put the stuff down for the other cat, and then that cat just fucking tackled the other one and then ate the. I'm like, you fucking animal. So I opened the door just a crack to let some cold air in because it's like 19.5 degrees Celsius on the thermostat, but I'm fucking cooking. Probably because I have a fever. But the cat's like trying to like escape. He's trying to like open the door. I put like a sandbag in front of it, a training sandbag. He's an outdoor cat. I let him out. He's gonna freeze his nuts off and come back in.
Mhm. So does he not go out during the winter, or just short
He,
amounts?
apparently he can, but he just doesn't want to. Except
Mhm.
now he seems to want to. So what else do you have on the
Yeah.
go?
Uh, Lately, I guess in the last few days, I started feeling like the urge to do some writing. I've never done like a lot of writing, but occasionally I feel like I should have like a blog that's in a fixed location, and over time I do articles, and I've kind of had that in the past, but I've never had like a system. Like what I want is like when I feel the urge to write, I just want to like open up a web browser and write down text into like some website, and then just have that be displayed somewhere very simply, that I don't have to like pay for or maintain or anything. And I kind of made a system like there's this website that's typically for like storing programming code and versioning like programming code. But you can upload a bunch of files, and then you can log onto the website like GitHub, and you can see all the files. You can edit them like right in the website, and whenever you edit a file, it like saves the changed version. You can like go back in the history, see all the changes,
Mm-hmm.
and that part's not too important. But you can also trigger stuff. So that's where the idea that I had comes in, where I can basically like log onto this website, create like a new file, write like a blog post, and I can write the blog post mostly in like plain language with just like a little bit of like headers and footers like at the top and bottom of the file, so that it can work with this like system I designed. But then when I like save the file, it triggers like an automatic job that basically all the job does is it looks for like what are all the files. Like each file in a certain folder is like a blog post, and so it will read the names of all those files and create like a table of contents that will be displayed by like the main page of the site. And so that sort of meets my criteria that like whatever computer I'm on, I can open the browser, write like a new file from scratch, and when I save the file, the site will automatically sort of like pick that up and have like a fresh list of all the posts on the main site, and just like a very minimal list probably. And then anyone like clicking any one of them would bring you to like the page of the actual blog post, which would just be uh, like it'll be nothing more than just like the titles will be large and bold, and the words will be probably wrapping at some like maximum width. Maybe I'll over time I might add like fancier like the ability to like have like a block, maybe a block quote or an image like in line with the text. But yeah,
Okay.
like right now, like at the moment, it's sort of like I keep forgetting sort of like what is my current idea about like the meaning of life, or what I want like my purpose to be, or how I should feel like relaxed and but also motivated. Uh, and I sort of have like a loose like philosophy that I've like worked out that resonates with like me personally, and I've been wanting to like write that down in a semi like formal way. Uh, like mostly to like so I can like reread my own thoughts in a place that's like stored somewhere that feels kind of like official, and maybe I could update it like over time. And then but also it's like if I'm sometimes I enjoy like talking with other people about like what do they find meaning in and stuff, and it would be nice to be able to like just give them like a link and be like, here's to save time, here's like my thoughts written out in like an organized way about what I sort of consider like uh how we could feel a sense of purpose. Like in life, but also acknowledge that like there is no grand purpose, and how do we deal with that if we, if we feel like nothing has meaning, then what's the motivation, and like, and also like why I want to sort of also make like an argument about like why people should like make content, and also why people almost have no choice but to make content, because I have this whole idea where I classify like content as like even like a thought in one's head is like content. It's just not publicly available, and talking to someone is content. And then like, but then there's like different levels of content where like if you preserve your content in some way and you make it public and other people can find it, then I sort of want to outline like my idea about why is like creating content and making it public for other people to find, why is that like perhaps a fairly important thing to do in life, while at the same time acknowledging like there's no purpose to anything, but it's like why make a bunch of content then, and then sort of like working out like, yeah, why exactly do I think that should be done or something, in order to like convince myself more that all of this has some like meaning to it or something, or
Interesting.
remain, yeah. And then maybe also I think also there's like whenever I look at like a lot of people around me they still think like AI is going to be something interesting, and I think we've seen like whatever interesting stuff AI can do, it's already done it, we've seen it, and a lot of people are not that into it. But there's like it's kind of maybe eventually, like maybe 20 years from now, we'll have a fairly impressive AI, and we'll have this question of like the AI can kind of do things for you. It can write stuff for you in a pretty decent way, and we'll be faced with this question of like, when do we want to do the work, and when do we want to have something else do the work? And like there may be this period of time where we have things do work for us, and then we realize like it's actually kind of robbing us of the fun and the joy, or like the skill building of like doing the work ourselves. And so then I wanted to sort of write something that like really gets to the root of like what is the point of doing things ourselves, even when like that might be slower or we might do like a worse job, but we can say at the end of the day that like we went through the process, and the value of having gone through the process makes us bet like we learn things about what we're creating by doing all the steps ourselves in some like suboptimal way. Like right now we sort of do things in an optimal way, but like if there was a machine that could do it for us, like what's the point of knitting if we all have like a knitting machine in our house or something like that? And there's like some philosophy there to talk about of like we something about like we have a certain amount of time and there's no purpose, and so if we want to relax and we enjoy knitting, then feel content in the like the meditative nature of like doing the knitting, and don't just like run the knitting machine to make a sweater and then have this crisis of like, what do I do now, or something like that. Like sort of like uh like do like do a task at a level of efficiency that fills up all the time that you have, almost to like just to like stay busy or something like that, for the purpose of nothing more than that. And but that's what something I would enjoy. I want to like write that out and then just kind of make it more understandable and more so that other people could read it. And maybe it would be nice if like someone else could like read my thoughts in a very well explained way, and then they would be able to say where they disagree or what they think differently, and then I can better like adjust my stuff with these new information. I feel like that would be a good use of a blog. But yeah, basically, but the problem with blog is like you write a couple articles and then you like step away from it for a year, and then I like forget how to load the blog, or like I need to like download something and I never get around. But the more like the easier it is to just like write something, put it somewhere and forget about it. I feel like that'll be more of like a thing that I don't end up like deleting later or forgetting about, or never getting around to like adding to.
Huh.
So that's kind of what, yeah, I've been thinking about that.
So, what do you think our purpose is.
Yeah, uh
Do you think it's just to create content, or do you think maybe it's not about having purpose or having something to do? It's more of like just enjoying life, the gift that we were given.
yeah. Yeah, I tend to go towards the enjoyment thing. But the way that I like make it really formal is like I sort of imagine that like there's a chance that uh in the current like instant of time that we're in right now, there's a chance that like a bunch of molecules in the universe just like came together in a way that created our entire brain and made us believe that we have this whole past history like in this one instant of time. And so then, so since we can't like really ever like rule that out as a case, then my idea is that whatever we believe we can like accomplish in life, whether it's like meditating or having a state of enlightenment or something, that has to be possible. Like if it's possible at all, it has to also be possible with the assumption that like our brain only exists for this like one instant of time. And so then like from there, I sort of state that like whatever we're supposed, quote unquote, supposed to accomplish, we're already done. Like just by as soon as we're conscious and sentient and existing, we've completed our goal of any, if we have any. And then whatever amount of time we may end up existing beyond like one instant, that's just like bonus time. And then the question is, yeah, like what do you do with what do we do with the time we have, given that like we've already sort of we're done, we accomplished our goal the moment we existed. And then the reasoning that I say is, yeah, just like we sort of do whatever we feel like. And like even sometimes we feel like we're doing things that we don't want to be doing, but that is also a state where like the thing that we want to be doing is not wanting to be doing a thing. Like it's sort of like a repetitive, and then there's sort of like I bring in like meditation as well, where like I would like to make this argument that like everyone is always meditating, and like humans are just smart enough that sometimes we convince ourselves that we're not meditating, or that we're failing at meditating, or that like we're having trouble meditating. But even like being in the state of like trying to meditate and judging ourselves and feeling like we're failing, that still is like a form of meditation. uh and so I sort of like this idea of like we're always meditating, we're always making content, uh we're always doing what we want, and sometimes we just trick ourselves into thinking we're not doing those things. uh
Mhm.
and so then uh and then it's like, but is there any like we can realize that we can realize whatever we want or feel like whatever we want, just kind of for fun. And it's not, yeah, it's, but then yeah, I have to sort of put that into words so that I can like read it myself and try to figure out what am I trying to, like what do I want like the conclusion to be, or what do I, yeah, so that it's all, so that I can like see if there's any like gaps that don't kind of make sense or something.
Yeah. You know what I think? I think
Mm.
something I've come to realize is that a lot of us have been born into a slavery. We are slaves to the economy, and we have to work in order to survive, to have a living. And the job that we have, money that we make, determines our class. And obviously, the system is rigged and it's meant for that top 1%. I mean, when you get money,
Yeah.
when you have big numbers and you see how quickly those numbers grow, I mean,
Yeah.
I could, if you had like 1.52 million bucks, you could easily just live off the interest of that, like no problem, right?
Yeah,
So,
that's
like,
probably that's like the threshold probably today. Like going forward, yeah, we need like more and more. But yeah, I would say that amount today is just across the line of like living off interest, maybe.
yeah, but like, I don't have that much, but, um, you know, I have bigger numbers, and I can see how quickly they grow. And in just 1 year, I made some good trades, not day trading, but I made some good investments. Really paid off. I mean, the market's been doing crazy. But yeah, I can see how quickly the numbers go up, and people work their fucking asses off, and it might take them 2 years to make what I made in 1 year do nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely like a
And then it's like
like I
all your
yeah.
I was going to say, like, all your free time, a third of your life is going to working, if not more. And then, if you're taking care of yourself, a third of your life is going to sleep. And then so whatever else, like the commute time, or if you work late, it's all chewing into your personal time. And I don't think our purpose on this planet is to fucking work to make someone else rich.
Mhm.
And so I kind of realized we're all slaves in a way, and we have so many fucking inputs. Whether it be doing our taxes, I'm gonna head over for dinner while we're chatting because I'm doing the cat sitting, and
Yeah.
Naomi's hungry. So, so where was I going with this? Yeah, so we're
Yeah,
slaves,
Mhm.
and oh yes, inputs. So one of my goals, one of my many goals, is to consolidate what I have, reduce my liabilities, so I don't need to make as much money, and then I want to like reduce the number of inputs in my life. And I think if you reduce the number of inputs, where you just have like your day-to-day routine stuff, and everything else is automated and everything else is like easy, I think being present will just come naturally. So like you go for a walk in nature, and you don't have to worry about some fucking presentation that you have to give, or because you're not doing that. You're not a fucking slave to the system. You're not grinding for someone else. You don't have to worry about the money. You're going for a walk, and you're enjoying the walk for what it is. And like if you don't have to worry about stuff, making money, doing your task or whatever else. I was always stressed in the military. Always, always, always stressed. It wasn't one thing, it was the other. It was me having to do this task or that task that was beyond my training. And yeah, I was chronically stressed, and I was never able to be present when I went for walks, even though I loved going for hikes and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I believe if I reduce the number of inputs in my life, um, I'm not gonna be as stressed, because stress is not good for the body. Yeah, like it's being chronically stressed is terrible, and it's interesting because I find that I'm chronically stressed, but I don't know why. Yes, I know I have some trauma. My amygdala is a little bit nuts, but I mean I'm not under threat, or I don't have to worry about right now anyway. I don't have to worry about going into debt or anything like that. I'm pretty well insulated. I have a wonderful relationship, and things are going well for me. But yet I still am chronically stressed for some reason, and I think again it's because of the inputs. I have so many inputs and so many things that I'm dealing with.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm trying to
Yeah,
map.
I can relate to that.
You still there? Sorry,
Yeah,
someone's
I can
trying
hear
to
you.
call me.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Like I feel also like the stuff you listed, like I also have what I feel is like a lot of things going, like everything's going well, but I feel very stressed, and I can't really put my finger on why. And but your idea of the inputs makes sense to me. Like there's, I always feel like something in the future I'm like looking towards, like thinking about what I have to do at some point in the future, then in the near future or whatever, and that interrupts my ability to like detach and just feel like stationary. And often I enjoy when I have like enough time to sit around and get bored, and then from my boredom I develop some kind of idea about what I want to do. But it takes like a day or two of sitting around and doing nothing and having no commitments to get into a state where my body like gets into a boredom state, and then starts developing these very fascinating ideas to like entertain myself or something.
Yeah, boredom is interesting.
And maybe the working, like if someone's always working, it's distracting them and they never have the chance to get bored, and it's almost like they don't get to be like alone with themselves and discover like who they are. They're always going from task to task like for someone else and looking at what's in front of them, and that interrupts their ability to just like be an independent person and have their own mind that isn't like in service to something else. And
Yeah,
maybe that's just like, it's just sort of like unfortunate, like it's not like any better or worse in the ultimate eyes of the universe, but it's unfortunate that they might never have certain thoughts, I guess. Like if people are just a collection of thoughts and ideas, like there could be valuable thoughts that person has if left to their own devices, but if you just use them as like a robot or like a machine or a component to like do stuff, then they're not doing anything fascinating other than, I guess, they're contributing to like someone else's free time. But if that, then it's like it's on that other person to like be doing something twice as interesting or something, which is not necessarily possible. It's just like, it's like you want as many like humans just kind of like chilling as possible to generate, like to crowdsource the most amount of ideas and different stuff, and the freedom to like gather with other like-minded people and discover like stuff that's interesting to that group or something like that.
hmm yeah, man.
Cats are nice. Like I watch my cat a lot, and how just like every cat, they they're like, cats are just like always present, always mindful. They have no choice, and they're always sort of like, they'll sit there and like stare off, and like I sort of wonder sometimes, like could I do that? Could I like just kind of wait around and like lounge about and not have any thoughts and just kind of be interested in very simple things?
No,
Uh,
I think our brains are too complicated.
yeah, it's like we're too powerful to be on like standby mode or something.
Yeah, I think so. So, like, you talk about boredom. I'm finding that, like, yeah, I can get bored too, but there's really no excuse for it because I have so many books to read and things to learn. And I think by learning, it's like training, like your brain. So your body, which includes your brain, everything has to be trained and upkept. Otherwise, it starts to, what's the word for, you get
Like,
atrophy? Is that what
oh
it
yeah,
is? When you start to
yeah, I
like
think
lose
so.
it. So
Yeah,
it's like we have to be physically active. We have to use our brain. We have to, do stuff, learn stuff. But the thing is like civilization makes everything comfortable and too easy. Everything is
yeah,
because, like, yeah, think about it. Like if we were in the wilderness, we have to know what's around us. We have to know our environment, nature, identify hazardous fauna, flora. Like we're constantly learning and experiencing things. We're navigating our environment, and we're active every day. We have to move to do anything. We don't have cars to take us around, and so in that environment, like everything is getting trained all the time. We're constantly stimulated. In civilization, everything is easy. You just go to a grocery store and buy your food, and or have it
Yeah.
delivered with DoorDash, and you can drive everywhere, and like you don't really have to walk much because we have like the luxuries of our home. If we don't have to work or go out and our fridges are stocked, we can just stay inside all day without consequence and just stuff our face.
Yeah.
That's unnatural.
Mhm.
And because we are creatures that take the path of least resistance, if the option to be lazy is presented, we will likely choose it. We have to like force ourselves
Mhm.
out the door to train, go to a fucking gym, which again is something that's artificial that we've created. We have to travel to get to that gym, and then kind of like train ourselves like a hamster in a wheel.
Yeah.
So I find that's for strength training. I find like it's all very artificial. And if that's not bad enough, you got all the conglomerates trying to kill you with their additives and perfumes and toxic and bullshit endocrine disruptors. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. I just kind of want to get away from civilization. Sorry.
Yeah, there's like an element of like wanting the basic things to be a bit more challenging to like engage us on a more like level that humans need, just to feel like we're using the body we have and the mind to like get the food and stuff. That, yeah, if it's so easy, it makes us like we get like depression and stuff because our systems are like shutting down because we're not like hunting or something like that, whatever's going on there.
Well, what causes depression? I mean, I figured it's just like serotonin issues.
Mhm.
I mean, one of the best things living in the northern hemisphere and it being wintertime is a problem because we're not getting enough sunlight. And like, unless you're very deliberate and you get up and you're outside when the sun is up and you try to soak every single moment possible. I mean, if you don't do that, then I don't think you're getting enough. They
Yeah.
do say like you just need like 15 minutes of exposure or something, but I don't know. I'll have to double check that. But like the best thing you can do when you wake up is go outside and have the sun hit your eyes, have the light hit your eyes, and then go for a walk. It's like the best thing you can do for your system before you even eat.
Yeah. Yeah,
And that's
seeing
like,
light in the morning, that's good. That's what I like.
yeah, and that's like to kickstart your mood and everything else. And by training your body and releasing endorphins and feeling stronger and eating healthy. I mean, if you do all that consistently and you sleep because you're not up at night because of all the inputs and all the stressors, I don't think depression will affect you because I went through the entire summer no depression, which was quite interesting. I had, relatively. I mean, I had the social and my routine was off. It was a bit crazy that way, but I felt very fulfilled, and I did have physical activity still. So my sleep wasn't that great, but it never is.
Yeah, usually for me it's like the pattern I recognize is like I'll go on vacation and suddenly I'll have like a couple of days where I'm not doing anything and I'll sort of fall into this like pattern of just feeling like nothing is happening, nothing's moving forward as I would want. And usually like what happens to save me the most reliably is like if I find like a highly rated movie and I sit down and I watch like very intensely like an award-winning film or like one that's like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, then that takes me on like it brings me like to the emotional highs and lows, and it like gets my system sort of like uh kicked, in all directions, like of the emotions. And then by the end of the film, like I feel like rejuvenated, or like it's sort of transported me back to the moment or something.
It's
And that's kind
interesting.
of like a little bit of a cheat code or something. But sometimes I'll be kind of feeling like that, and then I'll look through like a bunch of movies and I won't find anything, and then I'll be extra depressed because I'll be like, now there's no good movies and like nothing's happening. Like, will there ever be a good movie again? And uh, then sometimes I'll spend like 2 hours like just clicking down like a bunch of movies, like looking at lists and just kind of being like, I guess I'll try this movie, and it doesn't really feel right. So now I maintain, that's one of the things that I maintain is like a list of all the movies that I am kind of interested in, and I like check in on them. I sort them so that it's like when I need to watch like my next movie, I have like something on the top of the list. And then
No,
whenever if I like a movie, I put it in like another list where I have a list of like all the movies that uh I would rate as like, like top like movies that I wouldn't mind picking one and watching it if needed. And then I have a growing list of that, and that's kind of fun to have. It feels like sort of a nice fallback thing.
I wonder if it's because you start to maybe you feel disconnected from society
Mm.
or other people. Because, like, when you listen to music and when you enjoy art or watch movies, you're kind of partaking in the collective, something that other people have created, and it
Yeah,
can kind of like reconnect us and make us feel like we're a part of something again when before we may
yeah,
have felt isolated. So yeah,
yeah. That's
there's that piece. That's what comes to mind. And shoot, there was something else that came to mind, but I forgot what it was.
it's
Mm,
like inspiring. A lot of movies inspire me to then I think of like I want to do something like that, and I can't make like a great movie, but it gives me little ideas of like, oh, I like tiny projects that I feel like I could contribute something that makes me feel like I'm also creating something.
yeah, this thing like the need to always have to contribute or to be of value. I guess it's part of our programming. Um, and I guess
Mm.
that programming can go a bit haywire if you weren't validated growing up by your parents or other things. But you know, I've been trying to turn that back, like turn back the dial where instead of trying to support everybody else and help everybody else, I'm kind of like letting people do their own thing and
Mm.
not being the easy button for people. And by doing that, it lets me focus on my stuff more because I have more energy for my own issues. And I find that, like, in the past, I would distract myself by trying to solve everybody else's problems. So I think a lot of people do that. They take on a lot of stuff, they take on projects, they work excessive hours to distract themselves from having to do the work, the hard work on themselves. So
Mm.
it was when I freed up my bandwidth and stopped taking on everybody else's issues. I was really diving into the books, and one book I stumbled upon was called The Body Keeps Score. And this thing really helped me understand how trauma impacts a person, what happens in the brain, the amygdala, and the hormones, and how your brain is rewired because of your experiences and why it happens. And so I think a lot of the times it comes down to a lack of control in a flight or a fight response. So like if you can't actually exercise your fight or flight response because you're held down or something is, has power over you, trauma can take hold because you didn't expel the energy during those arousal periods. And then like that pent up energy and also the way that experience is processed in your brain is fragmented. And so it's like well, a lot of the times when people revisit their trauma, it's like, oh, I was traumatized when I was 7 years old. You revisit the trauma as the 7-year old. You don't revisit. it as the adult you are with all the tools that you have. You're the 7-year-old who's completely helpless. So understanding that, and like that there are treatments out there like EMDR, which mimics it's like a hypnosis, but it kind of mimics REM sleep with your eyes going back and forth.
Yeah.
And I think that's fascinating. And I'm gonna look at doing that myself. But the what was the other part? Eh, this is the problem. I lose my train of thought. My short term memory is
Mhm.
garbage. That's the effect
Yeah.
of stress. So
There must be some technique. I've never like people that do something like, cover several points in a row as their job or on stage or whatever. There must be some like acting technique to like remember the bullet points like that someone could get like pretty good at and then not really notice they're doing it. Like that when they think of their points, they think of like a little like way to remember them all, and then they like the space, like the memory mansion thing, but like a smaller version of memory mansion.
I'm not sure what that is. You mean like taking notes as you come up with
The
thoughts,
memory,
or
well, there's this thing called like memory mansion, which is like if you want to like memorize, if you want a technique for like memorizing like a ton of stuff, uh, what people do is they pick like an environment that they're familiar with, like their their school or something like that, like a large building that they sort of know the inner workings of, and then they like visualize themselves like walking through the building, and as they walk through the building, like each room has like objects in it, but like the first letter of the object is like a hint for like what you're trying to remember. And so then they just sort of have all these rooms in this house where they walk through them, and they in their mind they walk through, pretend they're walking through them, and they remember like the objects on the shelf, like items in the kitchen, but each object is linked to like a thing they're trying to remember. But some people, I think that's like that technique apparently is like the people that professionally like memorize, like win like memorization contests, they kind of use like variations of that technique.
I see. Yeah, I'd never heard of that before. You know, I say
Yeah.
my short term memory is shit, and stress does impact it. But I want to look more into memory and why it's impacted, or because like I have not been training my brain like I used to. Like when I was back at school, like I was always hungry for knowledge and always doing something. Like I maybe my memory is starting to fall to shit because I'm just not using it. I don't know. So
Yeah, they do
I'm gonna
say like people need to do like perfect practice. Like just sort of using a memory might not even be good enough. Like we need to sort of like intentionally practice like some kind of like strategy in order to actually like get the memory. Like it's not just enough to like occasionally be trying to recall stuff. We need like techniques and structure and like like intentional training will make it better or something. Otherwise it's just whatever it is, yeah.
well, my friend, I need to go about my destination, and I appreciate the chat.
Mm. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, good chat.
All right, buddy. I'll catch you next time.
All right. Yeah, see you then.
Okay.